Russell Wilson, now with the Giants, carried the weight of past glory, most notably his Super Bowl win with the Seattle Seahawks, into a highly anticipated matchup against Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs. Facing Kansas City is always a challenge, not only because of Mahomes' brilliance, but also because of defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo, a four-time Super Bowl champion with a reputation for disrupting great quarterbacks. The Giants began with rookie running back Cam Scatbo, a bruising runner out of Arizona State, who entered after Tyrone Tracy exited with a shoulder injury. Scatbo wasted no time showing his toughness, lowering his pads, and fighting for extra yards. But the Chiefs' defensive front, led by Chris Jones, held firm. On fourth down, Kansas City stuffed the Giants, leaving New York empty-handed on their opening drive. With momentum already tilting, the Chiefs sent Mahomes onto the field. Calm and collected, he worked through progressions, moving the ball into Giants territory. Still, New York's defense kept things tight, forcing Kansas City to settle for a Harrison Butker field goal. After being denied on their first drive, the Giants found their rhythm when Cam Scatbo returned to the backfield. The rookie, who had already impressed with his physical running style, delivered the kind of spark New York desperately needed. Behind a powerful block from John Michael Schmitz, Scatbo cut through the middle of the defense, broke a tackle at the goal line, and lunged across for a touchdown. The home crowd erupted as he celebrated, a reminder that even a team still searching for its identity can find energy in a young player seizing his moment. The score gave the Giants a 7-3 lead and briefly shifted the atmosphere inside the stadium, filling it with hope. Patrick Mahomes, however, was not rattled. Despite being pressured often, he stayed patient in the pocket, avoiding unnecessary risks while waiting for chances to open up. Still, the Giants' defense stuck to its plan. They refused to give up deep plays, keeping everything in front of them and forcing Mahomes to take shorter completions. Every time Kansas City appeared ready to break loose, the Giants answered with tight coverage or a timely pass rush. Mahomes managed to move his offense, but the points weren't coming easily. Butker added another field goal, trimming the lead, though frustration was visible on Kansas City's sideline. The Giants had chances to widen the gap, but Russell Wilson's impatience began to show. In an effort to connect with Malik Nabers, his most explosive weapon, Wilson forced a throw into single coverage. Chiefs cornerback Jalen Watson leapt above Nabers and intercepted the ball, halting the Giants' drive and giving Kansas City life. It was a reminder that while New York's defense could hold its own, turnovers from the offense could tilt the balance quickly against them. The interception gave Kansas City an opportunity, and Mahomes finally delivered the type of play that has defined his career. Facing third down deep in Giants territory, he held the ball in the pocket, pumped once, and fired a dart into the end zone. Somehow, through the smallest of windows, he connected with receiver Tyquan Thornton for a touchdown. It was the kind of throw that only Mahomes seems capable of making. Improvised, precise, and fearless. With that strike, Kansas City seized momentum, and the game began to tilt firmly in their favor. The Giants' defense continued to battle, but the cracks were starting to show. Chris Jones moved to the edge and dominated with power and speed, collapsing pockets before Wilson could find rhythm. Russell Wilson, frustrated and searching for answers, tried to push the ball downfield. Yet Spagnuolo's defensive scheme worked perfectly. Malik Nabers was blanketed all night, and when Wilson attempted to force the ball his way, Kansas City's secondary was waiting. The Giants could move the ball between the 20s but stalled repeatedly in the red zone, settling for a lone field goal instead of touchdowns. Meanwhile, Mahomes began loosening up. His stat line was modest compared to his usual standards, but the way he extended plays wore down the Giants. He scrambled outside the pocket, buying time, and hit receivers on critical third downs. Thornton became his go-to weapon, stretching the defense in ways Xavier Worthy had before his injury. The Chiefs didn't explode for big numbers, but they controlled the pace, stacking field goals and eating clock while their defense suffocated New York. As the fourth quarter ticked away, the Giants still clung to hope. Russell Wilson, determined to salvage something from a frustrating night, put together one last push. Under pressure, he managed a handful of gritty completions, including a daring throw to Wan'Dale Robinson that placed New York inside the 5-yard line. The catch was courageous, Robinson absorbed a heavy hit as he secured the ball, and for a moment, it felt as though the Giants might claw their way back into the game. The drive, however, stalled like so many before it. Kansas City's defense tightened, and Wilson could find no open targets against their disciplined coverage. A field goal cut into the deficit, but wasn't enough to change the trajectory of the night. Mahomes, in contrast, did exactly what a championship quarterback does with the game on the line. He managed the clock, avoided mistakes, and delivered when it mattered most. On a key third down, he rolled to his right, escaped pressure, and found a receiver for a fresh set of downs that drained precious minutes. Kansas City leaned on short passes and runs to keep the Giants' defense on the field, slowly bleeding away the game. By the time the Giants regained possession, they had neither the timeouts nor the firepower to mount a comeback. As the final seconds expired, Andy Reid and Brian Daboll met at midfield for the customary handshake. The scoreboard read 22-9 in favor of Kansas City, a score that reflected not dominance by the Chiefs' offense, but the overwhelming strength of their defense. Spagnuolo's unit had been suffocating all night, taking away Malik Neighbors, forcing Wilson into hurried decisions, and setting the tone from the opening drive. The win lifted the Chiefs to another confident step in their season, while the Giants fell to 0-3, their frustrations deepening as questions about the future of their quarterback situation loomed larger. For Kansas City, the 22-9 victory was less about offensive fireworks and more about proof that their defense could win games outright. Steve Spagnuolo's scheme neutralized the Giants' best playmaker, Malik Neighbors, and forced Russell Wilson into mistakes that stalled drives. Chris Jones showcased his versatility by sliding outside and creating relentless pressure, while the secondary held its ground in one-on-one matchups. Patrick Mahomes was not at his sharpest statistically, but his poise on crucial downs, along with his touchdown strike to Tyquan Thornton, reminded everyone why he remains the most dangerous quarterback in the league when plays break down. The Chiefs now look ahead to a primetime clash with the Ravens, a game that will test their ability to sustain this defensive dominance while asking Mahomes to raise the offensive ceiling. For the Giants, the loss brought deeper concerns. They fell to 0-3, a hole that historically proves nearly impossible to climb out of. Russell Wilson's effort was there, but his impatience led to interceptions and wasted possessions. Malik Neighbors, drafted to be the team's explosive offensive centerpiece, was neutralized, leaving New York without a clear secondary option to shoulder the load. The lone bright spot came in the form of rookie running back Cam Skattebo, whose fearless touchdown run gave the home crowd something to cheer about. Yet even his emergence could not mask the larger questions facing the franchise. The patience of both fans and the front office will be tested, particularly with first-round rookie Jackson Dart waiting in the wings. How long before the Giants decide to make the switch and begin building around their future, instead of relying on a fading veteran presence? As the stadium emptied and the players made their way up the tunnel, the reality set in. Kansas City looked like a team sharpening its identity as a contender through defense, while the Giants looked like an organization caught between the past and the future. For one sideline, the night was about momentum gained. For the other, it was about time slipping away. That's the full multi-part rephrased version.